Okay, we're going to the Cold War Gallery right now.
There were housing and food shortages.
Okay, welcome to the Cold War Gallery. No, well, let's start this side first. Start the motorcycle up. And why they got these up? Because once back in the day, this is old. You know, get your finger in and see it. This is new though. I didn't saw this.
Was on censored.
Yeah. They can't no more fun no more. I swear. Oh wow, this is new. These are cool. These are that's cool. What's up, Doc? Wow, look at that. Cool. Wow.
You never know when personal recovery is going to happen. You never know when you're going to be called. We were in a constant fight for the first 6 hours.
I remember seeing the bullet holes coming through the side of the helicopter. It's almost like daylight, popping through, and you can see the dust floating in the air. Here we go. I knew we were going to war.
Afghanistan, 2002. The United States began Operation Anaconda to combat Al-Qaeda and Taliban forces. On March 4th, a small reconnaissance team, which included Air Force Combat Controller John Chapman, attempted to land on a key mountaintop overlook on Takur Ghar, starting a 17-hour-long intense and at times desperate struggle. Around 3 a.m., as their helicopter tried to land, they were ambushed by a well-hidden enemy force. Machine gun fire and rocket-propelled grenades, or RPGs, ripped through the helicopter, causing Navy SEAL Neil Roberts to fall out. The partially disabled helicopter made an emergency landing in the valley far below, leaving Roberts alone among the enemy on Takur Ghar. Sergeant Chapman quickly established communications and initiated a rescue mission. Another helicopter picked up the team and took it back to the mountaintop. There, Chapman advanced and assaulted an enemy bunker from an exposed position. He cleared the first bunker, but while engaging the second, he was shot. Overwhelmed and heavily wounded, the team was forced to retreat. Meanwhile, a rescue force assembled. 9 Army Rangers and their Air Force Terminal Attack Controller Kevin Vance boarded the helicopter Razor 1 with an Air Force team consisting of Combat Controller Gabe Brown and pararescuemen Jason Cunningham and Kerry Miller.
We're woken up at sleep. Basically started running to the planning cell and pushing guys to the helicopter. It's personal recovery, so there's a lot of unknowns.
The rescue force did not know that Roberts had already been killed and that the reconnaissance team had moved down the mountain. Nor were they aware that a lone airman had begun to fight again. Thought to be dead, Chapman regained consciousness and, though severely wounded, held his position for nearly an hour against multiple enemy personnel. At 6 a.m., as the sun rose, Razor 1 arrived at Takur Ghar. Chapman broke from cover and provided suppressive fire for the approaching helicopter before being fatally struck. For his heroism and sacrifice, Sergeant John Chapman was awarded the Medal of Honor. Razor 1 had sustained heavy damage.
As we were flaring the land, we're hitting 3 to 4 RPGs, small arms fire started just ripping through the airframe.
Before we hit the ground, we just took an enormous amount of fire. The helicopter hit the ground pretty hard, but we immediately started exiting the aircraft.
4 Army personnel were dead and several wounded.
You instantly knew that, hey, you got to stay here and fight. We had too many wounded to do anything else. You're in a battle for your life. Cunningham stayed in the helicopter. He started treating the wounded with the aircrew medic, and then they started working some of the wounded that never made it out. Myself, I started treating the guys that got hit right when I came off the ramp. Sergeant Brown, he kind of slid off to the side behind that rock element and immediately got up comms and started talking to aircraft.
Assess myself, you know, what's my job here, what's my role, how do I make an impact? Let's work at the long-term problem here, let's get up on communications and let the world know about it.
At around 7 a.m., Sergeant Brown directed the first of many airstrikes against the perilously close enemy positions. The first air attacks were strafing runs by U.S. Air Force fighters.
I checked my danger course book, gives me estimated distances on what our risk is if we have these bombs come close to us. And just tossed that book down. I gave them a clear high and had my fingers crossed a little bit. You could smell the pines being shredded by the F-15s and F-16s.
The team was in a difficult position. They were fighting in snow at high altitude against a larger enemy force entrenched above them. They had little cover and their numbers were dwindling. Despite being wounded, Sergeant Vance fought on the firing line with the Rangers. From his forward position, he was able to provide vital guidance to Brown and Ranger Commander Captain Nate Self on using air power to improve the battlefield situation. When the fighters ran out of cannon rounds, Brown called in bombs.
You can hear the thing rocketing in for a while. You hear the fighter pull off, and then just waiting, and finally that thing hit the ground.
We were probably missing their bunker by maybe 5 to 10 feet sometimes. It still wasn't effective. The ground was just so frozen. They were so well dug in up there. We did have one bomb that hit kind of the saddle of the field and just rocked our world. Without close air support, I don't think we'd be here today.
Around 11 a.m., the rescue team was joined by another group of Rangers that had landed partway down the mountain and climbed to the peak, doubling their number. After a direct Hellfire missile hit destroyed the enemy's main bunker, a ground assault finally took the mountaintop. As the team secured the bunkers, they found the bodies of Neil Roberts and John Chapman. But while moving the rest of their casualties into the fortified uphill position, an enemy attack from a nearby ridge took the Americans by surprise.
We just get lit up. I actually watched the RPG get fired from a rock outcropping and accelerate at us. You know, I could have caught this thing with a baseball glove.
That same enemy attack seriously wounded Cunningham.
He got hit. He was in the process of moving the casualties and then he went down. At this point in time, we got, I think, about 6 critical patients. He was giving me kind of a quick handover of exactly what patients he had and what treatment he done and the condition of them, and as I was working on them.
An airstrike destroyed the enemy position, but the team still had to fend off sporadic counterattacks for the rest of the day. At 6 p.m., Jason Cunningham succumbed to his injuries. For their heroism and selflessness, he and Kerry Miller were awarded the Air Force Cross. After the sun went down, helicopters evacuated the survivors, including Vance, Miller, and Brown, along with the 7 Americans killed in action. The battle was over.
I can't stress enough the professionalism of everybody on there, everybody's role.
Everybody brought their A game that day. We had a lot of casualties. Within the first 15 minutes, we lost 2/3 of our force, and still they couldn't move. They just didn't realize who they were fighting.